I finished Just Last Night by Vari McFarlane just last night, actually. I had literally probably one of the worst flights I've had in years. It started snowing in Charlotte right before my flight, so I boarded, sat on the plane for 2 hours, had to wait to get de-iced. I don't even know what that means. Went up in the sky. Before we went up, the pilot goes, just so you guys know, we're going against the wind, so it's gonna take us an extra hour, and there's gonna be turbulence. So buckle up, and the flight attendants can't bring you anything. Midway through the flight, the intercom goes off, hey, if there's any doctors on board, we have a medical emergency. Praise God, there were 3 doctors on my flight, but I don't know what happened. People thought we were gonna have to emergency land, and I made it home last night. Praise God. I have a quick turnaround to go to Austin as well this week. I'm super excited, and that flight always feels pretty short, 2.5, 3 hours, and I'm flying Delta. Delta is my favorite airline. I love them. Anyway, back to the book. I absolutely loved this book so much. You follow this group of 4 best friends that are in their 30s, and within the friend group there's Eve and Ed. Eve has been madly in love with Ed for over 10 years. He gets engaged in the beginning of the story, and then a very tragic event occurs in the beginning of the book, and you follow Eve as she navigates so many avenues of grief, loss, new friendships, new secrets coming out about people, and navigating all of these things going on in her head. I loved this book. I thought it was so well written. I love that there was no spice, and I feel like that's pretty uncommon, especially as you read fictional books that have a heavy romance subplot. It's pretty difficult to find no spice. As much as romance is a subplot, it's super saturated in the book, and I just loved the romance in this book so much. It was unexpected. It's slow burn. You think you know what's going to happen because you just assume what's going to happen based on the trajectory of books similar to this, and then it blows you kind of out of the water. I will say, if you are navigating grief in your own personal life, this will either feel cathartic or very triggering probably to read. So this is a 5 stars from me. There was so many quotes I highlighted. I read the majority of it on my Kindle just because I read it on an airplane and it was dark and I didn't want to have the light on and annoy the people around me. Let me read you one to give you a little glimpse. For what it's worth, if you could see yourself through my eyes, I don't think you'd think you were a busted flesh at this living, Evelyn. I see a person who has everything going for her. The only thing you lack is self-belief. Thank you, I say. I parcel this incredible compliment up mentally to unwrap and fully enjoy after he's gone. Hello? Is that not how we all function when you get a compliment? It's like the best thing to just keep in your brain and remember later after a moment passes. I feel like Vari McFarlane just writes things that we all think, but in a way that not many of us could actually write. So, absolutely loved. 5 star. Next book I'm going to read that Haley rated a 5 star is Mad About You. And you guessed it, by the exact same author, Vari McFarlane. I think I'm gonna go to Barnes & Noble because I've kind of enjoyed reading physical books. The Kindle is the best when I'm reading at night, but I really want to grow my physical book collection, and I don't want to buy it on Kindle and a physical copy, so I have to kind of pick and choose. So I'm just gonna go to Barnes & Noble and pick up Mad About You. I hope they have it in stock because when I picked up Just Last Night, this was the only Vari McFarlane book in the store and the only copy left. But also, I was in Charlotte, North Carolina, so maybe there's a wider range in LA. On to book number 2. Made it to Austin. Guess where I am?
Where?
I started Mad About You, and now I'm gonna borrow Haley's copy so I can read it not on the Kindle, but the physical book. There's something about the physical copy.
You need it.
Yeah, but I just have a rule, which I think I'm gonna break out of. If you buy it on Kindle, you can't buy the physical.
It's a good rule. It's a smart rule.
Right.
How far into it are you?
Like 45%.
Oh, wow.
I've been cooking at night.
Yeah.
At night, you just see the glow of our Kindles and like silence.
Into the clip.
Aww.
It's so cute, actually. I love it.
So where is it in this little...
It's on my favorites shelf. Can you find it?
I actually know it has to be this way because of the colors of the books.
Mm-hmm.
I found it! Wait, cute!
Let's see if I put the sticker on it. Wait, I can stamp it with the thing you gave me. Brie gifted me this on my birthday.
Yeah, me thinking no one's ever gifted her that before, and she's like 10 of them.
No.
This is how far I am, physically.
Can I see where you are? I love her.
Aww.
I wish I was reading
You're
this.
Smiling so big. We're gonna go read at a coffee shop.
I think I'm gonna be reading one of my 5 stars again.
Book number 2. Good evening.
Let me get my tea.
I've read on and off all day, and I'm 85% done now with this book, and I have not giggled, gasped. I haven't experienced those emotions while reading in so long. Like,
oh my gosh.
We were sitting at the coffee shop and I giggled out
loud. I feel so vindicated. Like, the amount of times I've done that by myself and I have no one to relate to.
Yeah.
I just wish she was more hyped. Like, I don't feel like I have people online to talk about it with. So
but I feel like it's gonna happen now. Like, 2025 is her year.
Yes. Because everyone should read it.
No, truly. Like, I don't experience out loud emotion when I read most of the time, unless it's like a historical fiction and I'm weeping. But if that's not the case, like, you just don't hear me giggling. Reading this is funny and it feels like you're reading actual human beings having dialogue. It's just so good. So I have that to go. And I'm gonna read it tonight so that I can start book number 3 tomorrow.
I'm so curious your rankings of the 3 Vari McFarlane books you will have read.
What are you gonna read?
I'm reading The Favorites by Lane Fargo. It's kind of like, what's that Margot Robbie movie where she's an ice skater?
Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Barbie.
Oh my gosh.
Haley Quinn.
I, Tanya. Have you seen this?
No.
So good.
I literally thought she was in 3 movies.
Yeah, clearly.
Girly Pop Sleepover.
Girly Pop Sleepover. Go get your teas, girly.
Pop.
Pop. Clink. Da.
No toes on this channel. Or any channel. I've got the giggles around you. I keep saying it's getting gas,
no,
but like it's every 10 pages I'm saying the same thing.
Her last few pages are crazy. It's so good.
This It's the next day, which you wouldn't be able to tell because I'm wearing the same hoodie. I finished Mad About You last night. I'm picking my 3rd book. I'm gonna be sneaky because this one's gonna be a surprise to Haley, but I do see it on her favorites shelf. Let me give it to you straight.
Give it to me straight.
Book number 2 is done. It's a 5-star.
No way.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I was not expecting it to be, honestly. When I was like midway through, I was like, okay, I like it, but the vibe of Just Last Night was top tier.
Really?
Yeah, so I was like, I don't know if this will be able to compete with that, and then it's just so good.
First of all, I'm shocked by you liking the vibes of Just Last Night so much. Like, did you not think it was too sad?
I thought it was super grief heavy.
Yeah.
It was almost so repetitive, her grief, that you're like, you can't help but realize that is exactly what it must feel like. And normally, grief in books don't feel real because they gloss over it.
Yeah, it's not like this thing that keeps interrupting. It's just like in the subconscious back of their mind. They're like, oh yeah, like, that sucks.
And the little things will remind you of the person or of a situation, like that kind of creeping through her subconscious into her main thoughts as the book is going on, as she's like in new places, interacting with new people. I just love that.
It was so good.
Yeah. I love the subplot of romance because when I was at the beginning, I assumed what I wanted the end to be. And then you're so glad it's the way it is.
Yes.
You're just glad it turns out the way it is.
And so unexpected.
So unexpected.
Which is so cool because, like, coming off of reading so many romance books, by the time I got to that one, not knowing who the romance was going to be with was so shocking to me. I was like, wow, this is awesome, that I didn't have any idea.
100%. That is why it became a 5-star to me, because I think it's fine to be able to guess the romance in a book. Like, especially if the genre is romance, you pretty much will figure it out as you're reading or at the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, I love not knowing a plot.
Yeah.
And thinking you know the plot and then it not being... That's why I love this book too, actually.
Yeah, that's this one to the max.
Basically, Harriet is a woman in her 30s. She's in a long-term relationship and she ends it. He's the picture perfect guy on the outside. It's very much giving, if you've read Funny Story, the same trope where there's a engagement that's broken off. Now she moves in with a new man, and that's kind of the trope that you see. They had one interaction sort of at the beginning of the book, but you don't really understand how it's gonna get woven through until way later in the book. So it reminded me of the 7-Year Slip, where you're following a woman's journey with her life and not just her figuring out if she's found the love of her life.
They're three-dimensional.
Yeah, like there's so much going on. There's friendship dynamics, friendships that end, betrayal, secrets that come out online. Like so much goes on in this book that every time I was going to end the chapter to either go to bed or just do something else, I couldn't, because it's almost like every chapter was its own cliffhanger and you had to go to the next.
She's so good.
So good. I love witty dialogue maybe more than anything else when I'm reading fiction, and she nailed it. 5 stars.
Wow. What's next?
I stole it earlier.
No way.
And I was, yeah, trying to figure it out. You're gonna figure it out, I feel like.
Was it on this?
Yeah, your favorites.
I'm looking at all my Var McFarlane ones.
No, it's
They're
a
all
switch
there.
art.
Okay. Let's see. Was it right there?
Yeah.
What is it? Oh my gosh. You haven't read this yet?
No.
You're going to love this. I'm starting to think that Brie K likes sad books.
I
so
do.
have fun with that.
Third book.
Here we go.
If I drink my coffee in a to-go cup, then it makes me feel like I spent money on it. And I just enjoy it that much more. I can't lie. Good morning. It's the next day. I read 60% of the story life of AJ Figure yesterday. I think 25% of that was in bed at midnight. Haley gave me a new Kindle case, so I'm gonna put it on because this is looking rancid. Cute. Sounded like you farted.
I didn't.
We're at a bookstore / coffee shop because the whole book that I am reading right now takes place in a bookstore, and every time I'm reading, I just feel like I'm supposed to be surrounded by books. Third and final book has been read, and it is definitely the worst rated.
I was getting that vibe. Because I was right next to you and you were finishing it.
Yeah. Based on just like some of the good reads I read, I won't read the spoiler ones, but I saw some that I was like, oh, this is the tearjerker. Let me follow suit. Let me get in the mode. And then I was like, oh my gosh, maybe I shouldn't read this right before bed if I'm gonna bawl my eyes out. And I got to the end and I was like, okay.
I even forget it's considered a tearjerker. I think I did shed a tear, actually.
Basically, it's a literary fiction. You follow this man named AJ Fickery. He's a bookstore owner on this little island, and it definitely gives cozy Booktown vibes. Like, I really wanted to just sit in a coffee shop or a bookstore and read and devour the book. It's in third person, and so you're not just getting his POV on life, but literally every character's, and it felt kind of overwhelming at times, and there was no point where I felt an emotional connection to what I was reading, but it is a cool story. A child gets left in his bookstore and he decides to take care of it. That's kind of the beginning premise, and then you just follow the journey through years. Gabrielle Zevin writes very consistently because this reminded me like truly to a T of Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, which is a really cool thing. As we could see with authors like Vari McFarlane, I love her writing style, 2 5 stars. I gave Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, I think like a 3-star, and I would give the same to this one. So, not my fave, but somebody's.
Okay, it is interesting though because this is third person, but Vari McFarlane also writes in third person, but it's limited to just the main protagonist POV.
I typically don't enjoy third person, so I was apprehensive to enjoying Vari McFarlane when I realized it was third person, but she really locks in to only your protagonist. Like, you don't really understand what other people's thoughts are because she doesn't share them, and then this is like the bookstore owner, the police officer, the child, like everyone's thoughts all at once, and it was just kind of a little too much. So we got 2 5 stars.
That's crazy. I mean, 2 out of 3 is very high.
Yeah, and if we were going for a 4th, I did DNF the Ministry of Time.
Right. What page do you think?
I would say like 70.
That's right where I almost DNF'd it.
I should have powered through. I
Holding
really
out
should have. Yeah, maybe in the future I'll pick it up again. I was just concerned that if I were to keep reading, I would have had a reading slump and never picked up a book in 2025.
Yeah. Oh.
Again.
Right.
I want to read 50 books this year. I read 27 last year. Do you think I can do that?
You definitely can. It's just, it's hard.
Yeah, but you read like 90.
Did I? I read 80 this past year.
Oh.
But Not 90. So far this year, I've only read 3 books.
Okay.
Or wait,
I'm
have
keeping
I?
speed with you.
Yeah, 3.
But I'm also not writing a book.
Right. But you're like getting engaged and planning a wedding,
Right,
so.
yeah.
Do you think that our book tastes align enough to get recommendations?
To each other?
Yeah.
Yes, with the genre of romance / literary women's fiction with a subplot of romance, I feel like we're, locked in. I feel like actually outside of that too, maybe like more classical genres or even thrillers we can recommend to each other.
True.
Great Gatsby, you loved it. You recommended None of This Is True, I think, to me? Loved it. So we've done well.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah. Of these 3 books, we're gonna do a little pop quiz, BuzzFeed quiz of our preferences. Favorite character from just last night.
Finn is my favorite in this.
Finn is my favorite too. He eats.
I love how he presents himself as mean.
Yes.
And then he's not.
It gives the trope of that guy who only has a soft spot for his girl. Okay, favorite character in Mad About You. I would say my favorite character in this book is her best friend, Lorna, I think her name is. She just was such a powerhouse, loyal best friend, there for her.
In this book, I like Sam and Cal in this book.
Yeah, they had such good friendship dialogue.
Yeah. And they were sweet.
Yeah, favorite character. I think my favorite was the police officer.
I knew you were gonna say some obscure side character.
I loved that he was this stereotypical cop that would eat donuts.
Oh my gosh, I remember
read
that.
crime novels. That's so funny that he would
That's
read
so funny.
crime fiction.
Yeah.
And then he started a book club for officers to join.
How did she write that in a way that wasn't stupid author writing something stereotypical? You knew that it was ironic. Because
Yeah.
she's just that good at writing.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know.
Because if I wrote that, people would be like, girl, your first book and you write it. Let's not. Yeah, honestly, mine's AJ and the girl. Someday you may think of marrying. Pick someone who thinks you're the only person in the room.
I highlighted that on the Kindle.
That's so cute.
That's so cute.
Whatever. 3 stars.
Well, thanks for watching.
So don't forget to subscribe to Brie because this is her first 100K banger. Yeah, check the view count. If it's not there, send it to your friends. She needs to plan a wedding. And
And that's it. And that's all she wrote.
bye.
Bye, Pookies.